My name is Sharonetta McIntyre, and this is our first Thursday's Minority Business Development Agency training with our partner organizations. And so glad to have Pam Racer with us today. I'm the Business Development and Marketing Manager at the Hub office, and so work also with our North Carolina MBDA Business Center. So Sharonetta McIntyre, call me Shay. Thank you to everyone that's taken time out of your busy schedules to be with us today. We know how important it is and how valuable your time is. So there are a few housekeeping items before we get started. The webinar is being recorded today. Please do use the chat box to ask any questions that you may have, and we're going to do our best to address those questions as we go. Please do mute your session when you're not speaking so that you eliminate any background noise. So with that, I am just going to do a quick welcome then. Our director was not able to be with us today, Tammy Hall, but she certainly understands the importance of ensuring that you know about the various resources that are available to support small businesses as you continue to navigate through our contracting space. And so whether you are doing contracting at the local, state, or federal level, this capability statement training is certainly valuable for you. I kind of call it the business or the government-centric resume for businesses. So again, glad to have you all with us today. I see firms on the line with us. I also see some of our partners on the line with us. And so thank you so very much for being here with us today. I'd like to introduce our guest for today, Pam Racer. Pam joined the North Carolina Small Business and Technology Development Center as a government assistance procurement counselor in January of 2018. Pam is a VA verification assistance counselor and practices as a certified procurement professional for APTAC, which is the Association of Procurement Technical Assistance Centers. This certification requires a minimum of 2 years of government contracting counseling experience, completion of training in specific bodies of knowledge subjects, and capability to apply advanced concepts in counseling. Pam comes from Jacksonville, Florida, where she worked for over 26 years supporting the Maritime Pre-Positioning Program on Blount Island for the United States Marine Corps. Working as a senior program planning and control analyst, her responsibilities included contracts and finance deliverables on behalf of the Department of Defense prime contractor. Serving as the liaison for the Defense Contract Auditing Agency, Pam was responsible for the submission and audit support relative to the Federal Acquisition Regulation, known as FAR, and cost accounting standards required by the Department of Defense contract. Pam has a Green Belt certification in process improvement and change management, and she holds a certification as an ISO 9002 internal auditor and has received training as a certified facilitator auditor of total quality management. Pam has a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of North Florida, majoring in economics. After retiring from supporting the Maritime Pre-Positioning Program in 2017, she moved to the Maggie Valley area to work with Western Carolina University. Since joining the SBTDC at Western Carolina, she has provided over 4,500 hours of counseling, assisting more than 615 North Carolina businesses. And so we are so glad again to have Pam with us. And I also see Catherine Lucas, and I'm just going to do a shout out. Catherine Lucas is our new program manager for our North Carolina Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. And so we are so glad she is just in at the 2 weeks in. And so glad to have her. You will be hearing more from her as she gets in to the program and has lots of good expertise to bring to assist you going forward. So with that, I am going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Pam Racer.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's awake and ready to go. I know it's probably for most of you a rainy, dreary morning, but that's okay. That gives you kind of a break from your business. I want you all to be excited about this because you need to think positively about your business, what's going on with your business, and basically why you opened it in the first place. Obviously, you knew you could do well with it. It's your passion, it's what you love to do. And that's kind of what I want to help you go forward with the effective capability statement uh, that we'll be discussing today. Next slide, please. Just real quickly, just to go over, the SBTDC stands for the Small Business Technology and Development Program. We work through the university system of North Carolina, and we're also funded with a grant through the Small Business Administration. So the services that we offer are offered and paid for by taxpayer dollars. So they're offered free to the businesses. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Our website is sbtdc.org. So you can go out there and look in the website and see if there's anything out there that we can help you with. Moving forward, your capability statement is going to be your marketing plan, basically, for a small business. A lot of you are a one business owner business. You run the business, you're everything to the business, so you definitely don't have a devoted marketing group or a devoted marketing manager. So this is what you're going to do for your marketing, and that is you're going to have your capability statement. That is your billboard. Okay, you have your business cards that say who you are, where you're located, what the name of your business is. But your capability statement is going to be your billboard. It's going to say what you do, why they want to do business with you, why you're such a great company to do business with. So remember, as part of that marketing, where you want to put that. If you have a website, definitely put it on your website. If you have letterhead or business cards, definitely make it match that. Make it look like they go together, make them coordinate. They should mirror each other, have the same logo, look like they belong together. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to get you started on some of what most of you have already looked at. If you're going to do business with the federal government, the first thing that's required is registering in SAM. That's the System for Award Management. I've put the link here in the slides, and you'll get a copy of the slides after the program, so you'll have the link. But SAM, when you first get registered, can be very daunting. So I will highly recommend, if you're going to register yourself in SAM, that first you go to the YouTube and watch the SAM videos. There is in SAM a tab called Help. HELP, and it'll walk you through how to register on the YouTube video. So that's really what you need to go to first to kind of help you with that. And all that's doing for the government is allowing you to validate that your business is actually legitimate. With everything going on with fraud, this allows the government to get you registered. You'll put your ACH information in there. So should you start doing business with the government, they'll know that they have the information to pay you through the system. You'll also be putting information in there regarding your self-certifications of small business, disadvantaged business, woman-owned business, any certifications that you've already gotten approved through the process with SBA or the VA. And that being said, for those of you that are veteran-owned businesses, the SBA has now taken over the veteran-owned business certification process. So there is a new portal out there. I would advise you to Google the sba.gov and go in there and look at the veteran portal. It is very easy to use. It is a whole new portal. It does not mirror the exact portal from the CDE process at the VA. It is much easier to use. It is very self-explanatory. It walks through. If you have problems with that, you can get in touch with me. I'm a verification counselor, and I can help you walk through those issues. Register yourself in the Small Dynamic Business Search. That is a business search that the agencies use, the federal agencies, when they're looking to find a small business for a set aside, a minority business, a woman-owned business, a veteran-owned business. That is the listing of businesses that they search through. You can get into this after you register in SAM. The very last slide in SAM that you'll be on, that page will ask you, do you want to register in SBA's dynamic business search? You simply click yes. It'll take you over to that individual registration, and you can register your data out there. What that does is put you on that database where when those agencies go to look for those, you'll automatically come up with those certifications. Research the awards and what you sell and what you're offering the government at FPDS, that's Federal Procurement Data System. That is the easiest place to register. If you go to this website, you'll see at the very top a box that looks like it says Google. That's because it works just like Google does. You simply put in a keyword. Once you get registered in SAM, they'll assign you what's called a UEI, a unique entity identifier. They don't go by DUNS numbers anymore. Your UEI, you can put in a UEI, a cage code, whichever is assigned to a business or your business, your NAICS code, which is your industry identification code, and simply Google it and it'll bring up all the awards that have ever been made through federal agencies under that NAICS code or under that keyword. So that's important because you'll be able to see the award, the contract, who got the award, when it was made, which agency made it. It's a very simplistic system to use. There is a help tab out there with videos that'll teach you how to use it, but it is very simplistic. And that way you know who is buying the services that you're offering and what companies are in that competition with you. And if you're wanting to do business with the state of North Carolina, this is the link to go out and look at the bid search. Again, the state of North Carolina has an awesome website with vendor videos that show you how to register, that walk you through how to do the individual registrations, and that walk you through how to look out for opportunities and register for those opportunities. Next slide, please. So with networking, not just your capability statement, remember exactly what you do. First impressions count. Always be professional. Make sure the data that's within your capability statement is correct and is current. A lot of times, if you change a website, if you change your email, by some reason you change your carriers, make sure that it's current. Make sure there is a contact number on your capability statement that someone can actually get in contact with someone. You don't want a contracting officer calling a number that leads to a web address or an email address that's not being monitored, because they're going to immediately say, well, I need to go to somebody else. I'm busy. I got to get this solicitation out. I want to just go to somebody where it's easier. They're busy just like you are. They're going to go to the easiest person that meets their needs. Check it for typos. Definitely make sure that it doesn't have anything that's not correct on it. Make sure that you're doing on that capability statement, saying what you're doing best. You went into this business for a reason. You guys are professionals at something. You had a compassion for something. You started this business. You knew you could make it based on something for your business that was unique. That's where you want to stay in that capability statement. The government does not want to see in a capability statement that you do everything from peanut butter sandwiches to rocket ships. Because if they're going to get a rocket ship, they're going to want to get somebody that does really, really good work in rocket ships. And if they want a peanut butter sandwich, then they want to get somebody that's really, really good in peanut butter sandwiches. So make sure when you're doing your capability statement that you're analyzing that niche, that you're saying, okay, this is what I'm really good at. This is why I went into business. Show your passion out there. Prove that you're best. List some of your better customers. List why you're best. If you have the cheapest prices out there in your region and you know it, put it out there. If you know your product has the best engine, put it out there. If you know your services are best because your customers are telling you that, put it out there. If you know, and it could be small things. If your employees have been with you since the beginning and you're not constantly turning over employees, if that's your niche, you can keep employees. Put that out there. I have dedicated employees that's been with me. Use your things that are positive with your business to say why you're good. Think about what that agency is doing. They're looking for a company that they can justify that is responsible and responsive to be able to get that particular performance done. So think about that. That's what they're looking for. Think about answering those questions that they have to answer when they're trying to get that award sent out. Next slide, please.
Pam, there's
Yes,
a question that came through the chat, and so kind of goes along with some of the things you're talking about around first impressions. And the question is, should business cards include the NAICS codes?
Business cards, no. When you overload, think about your business cards. That's your first introduction. That's something small to your customer. Okay, that is their first impression to you. Your capability statement is where your NAICS codes are going to go. And we'll go over that a little later. You'll see what some of the capability statements look like. If you're operating under one particular NAICS code, you may want to put a description at the bottom of your business card, what type of service that you provide. But I would not put specific NAICS codes on your business cards, and there's a lot of reasons for that. A lot of customers for NAICS codes, the particular code, they may not know exactly. Okay, number one is that, because are you going to put the NAICS code and then the long description on your business card? The more information you put on your business card, the less apt they are to pay attention to the most important thing, and that's you and what you're doing. So use your capability statement for that.
Thank you.
So when you're going to want to use this is like I was just explaining, is it when you go to conferences, when you go to trade shows, when you go to prime contractor outreach events. Remember, you may not want to sell directly to the federal government, but there are tons of prime contractors that are out there looking for smaller, disadvantaged businesses to do businesses with. Just like the government has a goal of 23 cents out of every dollar going to small disadvantaged businesses. When a prime contractor gets a contract, most contracts have to submit small business plans, which means they in turn are saying, this is my goal. I'm going to give so much % of my business to small disadvantaged businesses. And they lay that out. So they're actually looking for small businesses to do business with and disadvantaged businesses to do business with. So make sure you have those available. Make sure the people that do that are called small business liaison officers. Those are the people from the companies.
Did you say that we can register with the North Carolina Interactive Purchasing System at our company or not?
The North Carolina Interactive Purchasing System, you can register your system in there. That is the equivalent of SAM for the North Carolina State Purchasing System. So
I can't find anything on the interactive system where it says put your company in, unless I go back to the home page. I'm not sure whether it's Department of Administration, but the interactive system doesn't have a place where I put my company in.
Yes, you would actually have to start registering from the home page.
Okay, okay.
Hey, Shay,
Yeah,
if they're
it's
registered as a hub business, are they already registered in there?
so Peter, the way that it works is the electronic vendor portal is where you actually put your information in for the business. And that's the same place where you did your request for hub certification. And then IPS is really one of the services then. So there's a link to the IPS system. And then based on the information that you put in about your business, it will automatically generate notices back to you about solicitations that fit based on your business's products or services.
Okay, because I just got recertified and it was like it was paper sent in the mail to recertify because I was delinquent. But I don't see anything on this portal here, the DOA, where I put my business in. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong website.
So, Peter, I'm going to give you my information and let's follow up. We can step you
Okay,
through the
very good.
process. Be
Good
happy
deal.
to do
Thank
that.
you so much.
Okay.
Okay, so like Shay was saying, that is a search engine at that, and that is just to help you guys when you're looking for opportunities with the state. So again, when you're using your capability statement, when you're visiting small business days, matchmaking events, even social events, you may want to take your capability statement. And we're going to go over how to set that up, what's best to put on it, what it looks like. Another place you can set up your capability statement is you can set it up in a blog. You can share it on email or with your LinkedIn. Next slide, please. So when you're targeting businesses, like I said, if you're a prime contractor, which I'm not sure any of you may be, but I just wanted to ask in case some of you are, your potential targets are the federal agencies. If you want to be a subcontractor and get into the market that way, which is a great way, because you're basically being mentored by that larger business at that point, they will flow down the contract to you through the subcontract, then you're marketing to that prime contractor because he already has the award from the federal agency. And if you want to be a team member, then you're going to your teaming partners. And by that, what I mean is, let's say that a contract has both janitorial services and landscaping, and you're a janitorial business. So you may want to partner with a landscaping business so that you can bid on a company. Bid on a contract that has both of those in it. So teaming is very important. And part of that teaming is networking, knowing who's out there. You guys have a very tight networking group. And so it's good to know what other people do and how they can help you to be able to be eligible for some solicitations that you may not be eligible for without someone else's help. Next slide, please. So who are those decision makers that are deciding, okay, who's going to get this award? The small business representatives for the federal government are your OSBDUs. That just stands for Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. And your SBLOs, that is your Small Business Liaison Officers. That's who I was mentioning was with the prime contractors. The contracting staff at the bases, you're going to have your CO or KO, which is your contracting officer, and your administrating contracting officer. And be aware, guys, I just want you to be aware, only a contracting officer can make changes to a contract. Your administrative contracting officer may say, hey, I want this done this way or that way, but make sure that only the contracting officer is providing that information because they're the only ones that can sign those changes to that contract. So just beware of that. And I'm going to give you a link a little later to the 7J program that the SBA offers. And it's a really good tutorial program for disadvantaged businesses, for women-owned businesses, for service disabled-owned businesses, that where there's a list of about 13 different vendors the SBA has got classes through that'll walk you through all types of classes of doing business with the federal government. So I'm gonna provide that link to you a little later. For program and technical managers, you've got a program manager with a small business, and you've got a contract officer's technical representative. Now, what they're telling you is what the requirements are, what the end use is of the individual service or product that you're going to be providing in support of that contract. Next slide, please.
Pam, can we
Yes.
take a question? Someone has a hand up. Ida, please unmute and ask your question.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My question is, once we create this capability statement, can we make an appointment to go to the UNCC portal and have them take a look at it to make sure that we're like on the right page? And then my other question is also, do we have to create several capability statements for a specific job? What do you suggest?
I would suggest that you definitely make your capability statement specific to the individual, either contract or contracting agency that you're trying to impress, that you're trying to get the job from. So I've seen some companies that have a static. They have a very tight niche. So they have one contracting capability statement because their niche is so tight. That service is the same regardless of who they're providing it to. Okay. And then I've also have some companies that have one for every single agency because they know what that agency's needs are. They know what the market is from that agency or for that customer. So they make sure in that capability statement that they're hitting those needs.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So real quick, I'm not going to go through all of these. I just want to make sure that you guys understand that it's very important that you understand that this CAPE statement may be the only physical thing that the government is going to see, that contracting agency is going to see about your business, especially if you don't have a website set up. So make sure that it has responsible information on it. Everything that says that you're good to do business with, you know what you're doing, that you're responsive. So that's really important. Next slide, please. So the most important thing is call it what it is. This is a capability statement. This is industry lingo. Everyone understands what a capability statement is. Remember what your core competencies are. So there's basically going to be 4 sections in this capability statement that are very important that you stick with. That's your core competencies, your past performance, your differentiators, and your company data. Okay. Your past performance is going to say why you're great, what you did, you finished below cost, you have these previous customers to say how you were so good. Your core competency is and we'll go over these in the next couple of screens, but your core competencies are what you do best, why you went into business, that type of thing. Next slide, please. So capability statement, like I said, you want this to mirror just like your business cards. So here's an example at the bottom of the screen. It's like your mini business card at the top of the document. You've got your business card over to the left side of the screen. That's like what their business card looks like. So that's what's normally on it. And then on the other side of the screen, you've got all your information regarding your NAICS codes. If you have any licenses, your cage code, of course, you'd have your UEI and not your DUNS now because that has replaced the DUNS, and that's a 12-digit code that you will get once you're registered in SAM. Any other PSC codes, which is your product service codes, which there'll be a link to those a little later in this slide presentation. Any certifications that you have, including your NC Hub certification. If you work with the NCDOT, that would be in there. So that is basically what's going to be at the very top of your capability statement, because that's what you want to catch their eye right away. The most important information. Next slide, please. The next section is going to be your core competencies, and there you're going to focus on the target of what you want them to see. What specific needs are you meeting for them? If the performance that you're trying to provide for them is custodial work, and let's just say they have a custodial work, but you know that this part of this custodial work is that you provide green products as part of it, then you would say we provide custodial work that complies with green blah blah blah, and then as part of your bullets, say some of the green products that you use, or zero this carbon, whatever, that's where you're hitting their sweet spot. Well, geez, that's what I was looking for. That's what you want them to say when they see this. You don't want to write paragraphs. You want little bullets, maybe one opening sentence, but that's what you want. And so what you want them to be able to see is that, boom, you're there. You're going to answer that question for them, because it's just like a resume. You want them to see that and go, okay, yeah, that's what I want. So they're going to put you in this stack and not the stack over here. So think about that. Next slide. So past performance. You want to list the customers that you've done similar work for. It doesn't necessarily have to be federal work. They know that you may be new to the market, and that's fine, as long as it's similar work, like work. So if you have any that's internal to that agency, put that on top. If it's related, put that next. If it's federal, put that. If it's commercial contracts, that's fine. Just show what you've done that's relative to that performance they're asking for in that contract, or for that performance that you want to offer, and what value you could have added. In other words, if you're really good at finishing products or finishing your services under cost, then put that in there. Finish in your past performance, finished this work under cost, finished this 2 weeks early. Put that in there as part of your past performance. Next slide, please. So your differentiators, this is really important. You guys opened the businesses because you knew you had a passion. You had a unique offering that you knew you could make something in the market for. You knew you could be successful at. So you know you have unique features or benefits for your product. Aspects of why you're great, what your brand is, what makes you different from everybody else. Next slide. So identify what you have, whether it be a location where you're located, training certifications, if you have any ISO certifications, any exclusives, like we created this process, or we have made this process better, any relationships you have with other businesses, with universities, with other agencies. And again, any experience you have. We've been in the business for 32 years, and as such have equipment that does this or that. So think about how that benefits who you're marketing to, and make sure that you use that in your differentiators. Because remember, at this point, this is your elevator speech. You're trying to get them to buy you because. Next slide, please. So you want it to be pretty succinct and clear. So just saying I've been in the business 30 years is not good enough, because you could have been in the business 30 years and you're just the same business for 30 years. You haven't done anything better, anything worse. So focus on the needs, what you've done, what you're doing to improve the industry, what you've done to meet different things. Highlight the benefits that you have. If you have metrics about your business, put that in there. Show them what you really do to compete in the market versus someone that really doesn't have anything that differentiates them from anybody else in the market. So that's the important thing. You want to stand out in that statement. Next slide, please. So your socioeconomic certifications are not your differentiators. Those go up at the top. Your quality people and services, the word quality is not. Specific licensures is. If you have somebody that's licensed, like if you run a contracting agency, you have somebody that's licensed to do plumbing and electrician, that is. If you're simply put that you're a solutions provider, be specific. Why are you a solutions provider? If you're best in class, you need to be specific. Why are you best in class? What do you do better than the competition? What makes you different from the other 3 or 4 guys out there? And you really don't need a whole list of these things, because think about it. When you get a resume and someone puts like 10 things on it that they're good at, you're like, yeah. Think about the 3 or 4 that you're really, really, really good at and put those on there. The ones you're really passionate and you know that you can deliver on. That's the most important thing. Next slide, please. So things to ask yourself when you're trying to decide that is, how did you land your first account? How did you get your first customer, your first big customer? Why did you open up the business that you have now? Why are you the best choice in the area you're in now or in the industry you're in now? What makes you stand out? Why are you best? What is it about your employees that gives you an advantage over everybody else? Because believe me, employees count. I know that. Sometimes with the smaller businesses, you guys have 3 employees. Well, that could be important for you. They run your business. They represent your business. So make sure that if you have something that's important about them, state it. Be proud of it. You guys are running businesses. Think about that. You guys are forging forward and being supply chain cogs in the huge industry of defense industrial business. You 3, 4, 5 businesses, 1 person businesses. That is tremendous. Think about that. Flaunt yourself. You guys are awesome that you do this. That takes a lot of guts, a lot of integrity. Put out there, be proud of yourself. Put out there what there is. Next slide, please. So your company data, like I mentioned before, that was at the top of that page, your UEI, your unique identifier, and cage code. Those will both come to you when you register in SAM, that System for Award Management. Your NAICS code. Now your NAICS code, for those of you that aren't aware, when you register with the federal government, that is your industry code. That is what you do. It is a 6-digit code, and you can Google this. You can simply put NAICS and then what service you provide. And it'll come up with several answers, and one of them will be a NAICS code. And it'll say, and you can look at those businesses, it'll provide you with examples of businesses that do the same thing. It'll also tell you what falls under that particular NAICS code. And that is just used as a standard industry identifier for government agencies for services and products, so that they're looking for the same thing, so that if they want an orange truck, they could say, okay, we want a NAICS code for an orange truck that does this. Then they know that they're looking at the right companies that can provide that orange truck. For DoD, they also have specific PSC and FSC codes. Now that's product service codes and federal service codes. You can get them. This is the link I was telling you about. You can find out more about those. This particular link here is going to take you directly to a index where you can just type in your individual. It's like a Google search. You can type in your individual service, and it'll come up with some suggested PSC or FSC codes. If you're not asked for those, don't worry about supplying them. But sometimes a NAICS code is so large, you may find that a government agency will ask specific PSC or FSC codes on their on their individual request for proposal or sources sought. And when I say sources sought, when you guys are looking for opportunities out there and you see something for sources sought, get together with your other disadvantaged businesses that are the same type business as you, and please put in for that. Sources sought is where the government is usually been dealing with a larger business and they want to deal with a smaller business. So think about putting that opportunity out as a smaller set aside. So they're putting the sources out there to see if they can get enough people to come back with interest under small businesses to say, hey, we want to make this a set aside instead of for the large business. So respond to those. Get your like businesses to respond for those. Get them set out as a set aside so you guys can get those contracts. If you have a GSA schedule, if you have BPAs, which is blank purchase agreements, if you have any certifications that are like ISO certifications, anything about your financial stability. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times with government contracting, they're going to want to look and make sure that the company is financially stable enough to be able to carry the contract, the government contract, at least through the first 30 to 60 days. So they're going to want to make sure that you have a stable financial business. Next slide, please. So you could put number of employees if you're concerned with that. You could put what your capacity is. I have 30 different machines, or I have 4 machines. I'm able to complete 7 different contracts at one time. Things like that. And again, contact information that is current and is being monitored. Make sure that you check answering machines if that's what the messages go to. It's best if they don't. Don't use a general email address. Use a specific email address that goes to someone that's going to get checked and is going to get answered. That could be the difference between you getting a response and not getting a response for both government business and regular business. Next slide, please. So tailor this statement to the target business you're looking for. Use industry speak in it. How do people speak about that? If they call, I know with the government, there's so many different acronyms. If the RFP, request for proposal, request for quote, if the solicitation, if the individual company that you're trying to talk to is using industry specific language, use that in your capability statement. Let them know you understand what they're talking about, that you speak the same language as they do. Like we mentioned before, you may have many versions of this, you may only have one. It depends upon how specific your niche is and who you want to market to. Save it as a PDF. Once you have it, you may want to keep it in a Word doc so that you can change it, but save it as a PDF when you send it. A lot of companies' emails will not accept attachments unless they're PDFs. So make sure you save it as a PDF when you're sending it. And again, if you have a website or if you have a business card, it should mirror that. So make sure that it does that. Next slide. So just really quick for everybody, and I wanted to get this done so we'd have an amount of time for questions, is that first impressions are critical. They need to be accurate in your capability statement. Make sure it's easy to understand, that you capture them just like a resume. Oh, wow. That's exactly what I need right there. And let me put this one aside where I can get to it. Make sure your key elements are included. Make sure there's no mistakes on there. Make sure that they can reach somebody right away. And remember that this is a working document. You can always make changes to it. You can send this out email. You can do it through networking. You can share this with friends. You can post it. This can be your billboard at any place at any time that you need. Next slide, please. So that's it, guys. And this doesn't necessarily have to go out for just government business. You can really use a capability statement for commercial customers too. So I just wanted y'all to kind of get a good idea of what you can use to help market your business when you're a one or two person business.
All right, so we have some questions in the chat that have come through. Zelda asked, how do I find companies that do interior decorating? I make soft furnishings and am looking to serve on a team or be a subcontractor.
So the easiest way to do that would be to Google for the NAICS. Remember we spoke about the NAICS code, NAICS. So Google that NAICS code and then go into that research document, which the link is in here for the FPDS, Federal Procurement Data System, and Google that NAICS code at the top. And it should pull up all the awards that were given under that NAICS code, and you should be able to find businesses attached to that that are winning awards already with the federal government under that NAICS.
All right, next question. Are you going to share an example of a capability statement?
So if you, in the very first slide, there is actually a link to the SBTDC website for the GCAP page. If you go to the resources tab at the top of the page, right down at the bottom of that page is a capability statement example and a blank PDF of a blank capability statement. So you can go there and look at that. Also included on that page are links to the FPDS, links to marketing, link to SAM. It's going to walk you through everything you need to do in order to get registered. So that resources page is a really good page for you to go to.
All right, next question from Ida. Can we make an appointment with one of the counselors at the UNC location to review our CAPE statement?
So yes, you should be able to, at the UNC campus, you should be able to go online. When you go to the SBTDC, simply that GCAP page, simply go up to the top and click on SBTDC, and it should allow you to go to that location and set up an appointment.
Okay, from Lisa.
Another question. Oh, okay. I'll wait.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is that Ida Tameka, or is that someone else?
Yeah, that's me, Ida. I wanted to ask another question, but if you were going to go to Lisa, go ahead. I'll wait.
Okay. All right. Lisa's question, how recent do projects need to be? We've done federal work, but it was 10 years ago.
It doesn't need to be recent. 10 years is a long time ago. I would use it for past experience just to show that you had done it. It depends upon the agency that you're going for. If you're going for a large project, they're definitely going to want to see that. If you have the same personnel you had 10 years ago and your business has not changed significantly, it may be good to put it on there. But if your business has changed significantly, I'm not sure I would list something that old.
All right. Thank you again. And Maria has a question. We provide DE&I training through interactive baking demonstrations and experiences. Would I target primes, teams, or try to be a sub?
That would be a decision based on where you want to go first. More than likely, if I would start with subcontracting only because that would be the easiest way to get into the market and see what's going on there. As far as a capability statement, guys, what I didn't mention to you is there are a lot posted online. So if you just Google capability statement and then what the service is, you would be surprised what comes up. Or capability statement and a NAICS code. All of these individual NAICS codes will come up. Capability statements will come up that are examples from companies, and you'll be able to see them. And it makes it much easier to understand how companies are pulling out differentiators and what they're putting out there for those agencies. And also, if you Google NAICS codes for your company, If you go to the websites for the NAICS codes, a lot of them will actually give companies that are already performing in those NAICS codes. So that should help you too, because you can always go back and Google some of those companies and look at their websites. See what they're providing, see what their opportunities are. Going to trade shows are great. Remember, when you do these networking, there's always going to be decision makers there, people you can team with. You'll be able to see competition. So sometimes these trade codes are really good if you can get an hour just to get away and go to.
Next question from John. Does DoD supply all the PSC codes, or do multiple agencies provide the PSCs?
They're all established through the DoD, but the federal industry has a ton of PSC codes. Usually, it depends upon how big the NAICS is. Some of the NAICS codes, for example, furniture. Can you imagine how many different things may fall up under furniture? So I mean, hospital furniture, office furniture, specific landscaping furniture. I mean, it just depends. So they're going to have a lot of different product service codes, PSCs, up underneath there. So it depends upon what you're providing and what the agency is, how specific they're going to be underneath the NAICS codes with that opportunity. But it will be clearly stated in the opportunity if they're looking specifically for one thing or another. But that link I gave you in there will really help you understand. If you just play in that link and put specific examples, you'll see what some of the PSC codes are and the FSC codes, and you'll see, okay, now I get why they want it to be more specific.
Lisa asked the question, should the capability statement be 1 or 2 pages?
I say it's best for 1 page. However, I have had some clients, when they go to specific trade shows, that will make it a front and back of a page. On the front of the page, they will have their standard capability statement. On the back of the page, if they're offering any specials based on that particular show that they're at. Like I had one that decided that that particular time they were really in need for business. They needed business. So she put a huge 10% coupon on the back of her capability statement. And she said that show actually saved her business. She almost tripled her business just from that one show because she needed it. So it depends upon how you're using that capability statement. You may want to put on the back, if you have some specific things that you do that you want to outline that you just can't fit in a capability statement to where it doesn't look too crowded, you may want to put that on the back side. I would not make it 2 separate pages. I would put it on the back side of the original page.
All right. So those are the questions in the chat at this point. I would like to say to all the folks that are connected and can see the link, we'd like to get your feedback about the session. And so please do click on the link to give us some feedback. It's a very brief survey on the session for today, and also allows us to get any feedback that you may have about suggestions for future sessions also. And now I know we've got some folks that are hands raised, and so we're coming to you. Let's see, let me get back to the list here. So a few questions. Peter Gottfried, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, sometimes we're a GSA contractor, and sometimes we get a note from a contracting officer saying, are you interested in this? We have a sources sought, and should we respond? Because sometimes you don't have to, the little thing will come out anyway. But is it good to respond up front so the contracting officer gets an idea that our company may be interested in this? Does that help any or not?
Yes, it definitely helps. A lot of times they may be looking to find a structure for a set aside. A lot of times they may be looking to make sure that they can find a different company. If they're putting out a source of salt, then there's something with the current contract that they're not happy with.
Okay, and then if we decide not to put in a bid or a proposal for a contract, should we Should we follow up with a contracting officer and let them know, thank you for the opportunity, here's our reasons we didn't respond? Should we follow up, or does that mean anything?
That really doesn't mean anything unless you think you're going to want to do business with that contractor later. If you want to keep an amicable relationship with that contracting officer so that they keep you in focus with future business, you may want to send something saying, we did receive the solicitation, thank you so much. However, the reason we didn't reply to the solicitation was blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much. Please
Okay.
consider us for future business. And then provide your capability statement again to them.
Okay, good. And then we're a hub certified, but how do we get North Carolina DOT DBE certification? Is that a whole separate process?
That is a whole separate process. And if you go to the North Carolina DOT website,
Okay.
there is a link down to the certification and they'll walk you through that. The first thing you'll have to do is register as a business with them. And then they'll
Right.
walk you through how to get registered. Now, the North Carolina DOT has a set of counselors called the Office of Civil Rights within their actual DOT group that will help you get set up with a prime contractor and help you get started doing business with them if you're
Okay.
small or a DBE contractor. So
Okay,
they're really good to get started with.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next question, Maria.
Good morning. This was really great information. I joined a few minutes late, so I'm really looking forward to the replay. I'm new to government contracting and, trying to work with the government. So I haven't even taken step one. I'm working mostly in the private sector with corporations. But I wanted to share one thing that I use for my capability statement is Canva. And it's really convenient. It's free. There's a free version, to lay everything out and bring in graphics to represent things and your logos. And it's just really very convenient to move things around and create a very eye appealing capability statement.
Thank you,
And
Maria.
I have dropped in the chat the link to the SBA 7J program. That is the program I was speaking about that offers the training opportunities through like 10 different organizations. They do have training that will physically walk you through how to create a capability statement and help you do that. So if you get in that link and look at some of the companies that offer training, you can actually go to the SBA website also and look at trainings, and they can hook you up with whatever you need in order to get started. But the 7J program is awesome. There is all kinds of different programs out there to teach you through how to read a solicitation, how to take it apart and understand it. It's a fantastic walking process on how to get started with federal business.
All right. Thank you again. And so with that, we just have a minute left here till the 10 o'clock hour. We do need to stay on track here with our timing. So
I have to jump in. Please, please, please. This is Ida. I'm sorry. But I need that website because that was the question that I have. I've been having a problem trying to find templates to put my information in. So I would like to know what was that free that Maria just mentioned about the free template that you could just put your information in and you could pick your background that you want.
I just
Okay,
dropped that in the chat. This is Maria. I just dropped it in the chat, and they don't have capability statement templates, but it's just easy to lay it out. If you find an example of one that you like through the resources that they shared, then you can lay out your own in there, and it's easy to bring in graphics and the logos for companies you've worked with or certifications you have. That's what I meant. So I hope that helps.
So thank
what
you
was
all
it called
again. We appreciate you all being with us on today. And if there are any other questions, we do have information that will go out as a wrap up to the meeting. And so we'll have a copy of the presentation for today's meeting on there. So please just email us back if you have some other things that we can assist you with. I want to thank Pam so very much for being with us on today and for the great information that you shared with us. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you to all the firms that are with us today. Thank you to all of our partner organizations also as you continue to move forward. So do have a great rest of the day. Thank you for our tech support, Derek Harris in the background as well, and for Brandon Hall as they help with our technical pieces. So thank you again so very much. And to the MBDA team and Hub teams overall for your support. Have a great rest of the day.
Bye.